Hi, everybody. It's the Bison Media Zone postgame show sponsored by Gate City Bank. I'm Zach State, and it's Mike McFeely, Jeff Kolpak on the heels of maybe an instant classic here in 2021. And NDSU wins 27-20 over a pesky game, whatever you want to describe them as, Missouri State team, to go to 7-0 and 4-0. Jeff, I'll start with you. We're off the heels of a press conference with Matt Entz where I would describe him as, I don't know, grizzly?
He had a little hard edge to him. You know, it was interesting. So it was, you wouldn't have known who the winning coach was today because Bobby Petrino comes in first and calmly and coolly answers questions and says what he had to say about his team. And then Matt came in, and yeah, he was a little short, I think, in his answers sometimes.
Not thrilled with the amount of penalties I'm sure that were called on his team, but is there any other story today than Cam Miller gets inserted late into the third quarter, 7 of 9, 112 passing yards, 2 massive touchdowns, one to tie the game to Phoenix Sproles, the other to Christian Watson, which was a beautiful catch to take the lead for good. I called it redemption for Cam Miller up in the press box. He said he felt like it was validation in the sense he wanted to prove something after Sam Houston.
Yeah, I think the bigger story is that they needed something to rescue this game because Quincy Patterson just didn't have it today, just was not making the throws he needed to make. And then when he did make a throw, Christian Watson dropped a big ball for Quincy. But there just seemed to be a different rhythm to the offense, a different swagger to the offense once Cam Miller came in the game.
There was a spark for sure.
And that often happens, I think, when you bring in a backup quarterback who has some talent. And Cam Miller made some throws that we just haven't seen out of Quincy Patterson yet this year, and certainly not today. The touchdown pass to Phoenix Sproles was outstanding. They ran a tight end screen that we haven't seen. The ball down the sideline to Christian Watson, where Watson made a Randy Moss-like grab over Montre Braswell. The touchdown throw, which
was equally as impressive.
Equally as impressive. Cam Miller apparently called that play on the field, which I don't know how much Quincy Patterson has been doing that this year. And so just that they needed to pick me up offensively, and Cam Miller provided it for today. Whether he's the starter going forward, the owly Matt Entz would not say, and told us he would not say. And we'll find out next week. He's not going to tell us. He won't say before the game. But
Logan Campbell had the guts to ask him that right after the game, and he just kind of looked at her and said, "You think I'm going to say that right now?" But Cam, you asked Cam Miller about this. A lot of quarterbacks, when they don't get the starting job, transfer out, do something different. He said he wanted to stay. He wanted to stick it out. I think that says a lot about the moxie and the guts there, Cam Miller.
Well, he references Iowa upbringing, and he said that's what I was not taught to do, is to give up, and I'm always going to stick it out, and which was pretty bravado for him to say that, because in the transfer portal world, you're going to see that a lot, people, in the next coming years, that you're going to see the backup QBs or running backs, the playmakers who aren't getting the rock as much as they should, and you're going to see them trying to find something else, and we've already seen it this year. Cam Miller wanted no part of it. Matt Entz said that's not who he is, and
said he wouldn't think his family would let him do it.
Correct. And actually, I think that's what Cam himself was referring to too, as far as what his family was all about. So, and NDSU could be thankful that he did.
As a lifelong Minnesota resident, by the way, I have new respect for Iowa residents that Cam Miller stuck around. I just had to get that shot in there at Iowa. So, carry on.
We stopped the conversation after that. What can you say, too, about Missouri State? You tweeted, Jason Shelley's an excellent quarterback. He kept plays alive that should have been dead to rights, more than 200 yards passing, but what he did with his legs was so critical, I think, for Missouri State to just stay alive in this one when the Bison defense finally turned the corner a little bit.
Well, let's talk in the big picture. Jason Shelley he's an excellent transfer quarterback that Bobby Petrino brought in, but as a whole, the level of athlete that Missouri State has in the field now compared to what it was when Jeff and I have seen, how many 45-0 beatdowns have we seen where Missouri State wasn't even competitive?
Didn't have a lot of Xavier Lanes, Tyrone Scotts.
Wow, no, and those guys are good. And Jason Shelley leads the way with that. Look at the difference in quarterbacks from him to last week at Illinois State. I mean, how different would Illinois State be if they had a Jason Shelley at quarterback? Brock's back, maybe go to the transfer portal if you want to get better. But, I mean, just a whole different Missouri State team. The one difference, though, the one thing that Missouri State still has to work on is they have a lot of guys that are talking a lot during the game.
Montrell,
Braswell leading the way. couple of unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, just a lot of chippiness on the field.
One led to a field goal at the end of the
yes,
half.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I think that's the next step Missouri State has to take.
And that was Braswell, too, that drew that flag.
Yep.
Even Jason Shelley was over talking on the sidelines.
I can't believe he didn't get flagged for that.
He did get a flag thrown, and then
they picked it up. Yeah, he ran toward the Bison sideline and was going off on something. They threw a flag on him. Then they picked it up as the officials remained confused in the Missouri Valley Football Conference.
That might be one of the reasons why Matt Entz was a little grisly in the press conference, shall we say. And you took the shot at Illinois State. They just pulled off the upset of South Dakota today,
Yep.
so Brock Spack's got everything going right for him now. What does the win like this do for North Dakota State? Because they legitimately had to wrestle this one away from the jaws of defeat.
Well, when you're in competitive games, I think, it teaches you that you can win games when things are just looking down and out. And I'm just curious.
Iron sharpens iron, Jeff.
Thank you. This
I thought we
quarterback,
heard that
old
post-game.
proverb.
this quarterback thing, it's going to go down to
Sure.
warm-ups next Saturday afternoon.
Yep.
We're going to find out
Yep.
who's going to be the starter because Matt Entz is not going to go there on Monday. He'll probably, and we'll ask, of course. And we'll ask again, and we'll ask
Yep,
again.
we'll ask all week long. We'll speculate.
Yeah.
We'll tweet. We'll write columns. We'll write blogs, and we won't know a damn thing until 2:30 next Saturday at the Fargo Dome when either Cam Miller or Quincy Patterson takes the field. After the way Cam Miller played today,
It's going to be hard
and the spark with the passing game that he gave NDSU's offense, it's going to be hard to go back to Quincy Patterson.
You know what I thought he brought was more of a short to medium range passing touch.
Correct.
That I think Quincy's been great on the long ball, and he's been effective with his legs, certainly, and he was a leading rusher today, by the way. But that just short, medium range passing game has just been non-existent this year.
We haven't seen screens. We haven't seen the quick little slants. We just haven't seen that.
We got one of those screens of Noah Gindorf.
And maybe Cam Miller brings that, but we have all week to talk about that because Matt Entz, the Owly Matt Entz, ain't telling us nothing this week.
So, some interesting results, too, in the Missouri Valley. UND gets a win it desperately needed against Western Illinois just to stay alive. South Dakota State loses to Northern
Again,
Iowa.
another home
At
loss.
home.
And
On Hobo Day.
Yeah.
You want to talk about desperation. The Panthers needed that kind of win because otherwise a game against a team like Missouri State might be winning, you're in, losing, you're done. We talked about Illinois State pulling off a win against South Dakota. It looks like this is now a two-horse race between North Dakota State and Southern Illinois.
And two teams that don't play each other.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It harkens back to 2014 and 2015 when Illinois State and NDSU didn't play, and they both were the top, a couple of top seeds in the playoffs.
Well, that wraps us up here from Gate City Bank Field at the Fargo Dome. An impressive and a huge win for North Dakota State, 27-20 over a game Missouri State team as Miller Magic makes its way back to the Fargo Dome. Can I get that trademark, guys? Miller Magic.
It's all
Can I
yours.
try?
Let it, name, image, and likeness.
I think
you
Big
got
E
it.
already pumped it out there on the
Did he
headline.
really?
Yep, he did.
I
Yep.
tried. Well, I tried.
You can have Miller time.
That's
That's a new one.
already kind of trademarked by a
Okay,
bigger
sorry.
company than Zach Staten, but we'll be here next week again.
Bam, Cam. How about that?
Maybe we can go with that. North
Right.
Dakota State next week at home against Indiana State. We thank Mike McFeely and Jeff Kolpak. I'm Zach Staten. This is our Bison Media Zone post-game show presented by Gate City Bank.